Tonight is not only a showcase of some of the young musical talent that exists in Liverpool, but it will make the link with our black musical heritage, which has laid the foundations for the talent which will thrill you tonight. Our black musicians in the 60s were big stars, but just didn't get the same break as white bands to make it big time. Record companies at the time were only interested in black American artists. The history of black music in Liverpool goes back further than the 1960s, but tonight we are using the Merseybeat era as a watershed. Tonight we will take you on a brief journey down memory lane as we acknowledge the significant influence that black musicians had during the Merseybeat era and post-Merseybeat. As history tells us, our black bands had talent, but the racism and discrimination they faced made it difficult for them. But in the face of such adversity, the individuals and bands still performed around the country and across Europe. As you will see, they influenced the sound of Merseybeat, and particularly Paul McCartney and John Lennon, who frequented the clubs and pubs where a lot of our guys hung out. Now, here's a statement from Bill Harry, a writer in the Music Echo of 1965, and he describes what was happening at the time. I quote, "The world of show business, colored artists are held in high esteem. They have long been acknowledged as being among the world's best entertainers, particularly in the fields of jazz and pop. In fact, many white entertainers try to capture their vocal sound, Georgie Fame and Dusty Springfield, for example. However, whilst white British artists try to emulate their sound and American colored artists entered our charts, colored performance in Britain seem to have little or no success. Apart from the fairly successful careers of Kenny Lynch and Danny Williams, British colored artists rarely make a name for themselves. Yet, there are a great many talented colored entertainers in Liverpool. In Liverpool alone, we have the Champs, Derry Wilkie and Steve Aldo. Why is it, I wonder, that the British colored sound is rarely heard? Some people say that songwriters cannot write their type of material. Others say that the kids won't buy their records of homegrown colored artists because they don't appeal visually. It is true that the vast colored population in the States ensures that American artists score over there, and their success in America helps to establish them over here. That's a direct quote from Bill Harry in 1965, writing in the Music Echo. He goes on to say, "Will Britain ever produce a Ray Charles, a Mary Wells, a James Brown, a Louis Armstrong?" We think so. The young people performing tonight will show you so. Where did our bands play? We look around us. So many of the old clubs are gone. But many of you will remember these. The White House in Berry Street, the Masonic in Berry Street, the Cavin. Oh yes, the famous Cavin Club in Matthew Street. Our guys played there also. The Locarno, Sid Lyons Club, the Nigerian, the Gladray in Upper Parliament Street, Dressler in Myrtle Street, Skyline in Lodge Lane, the Pavilion, you all know as the Pivy in Lodge Lane, Dutch Eddie's, the Jacaranda, Palm Cove in Smithdown Lane, Timepiece in Fleet Street, the Pun in Seal Street, the Rialto. Our bands played in clubs all around the country and all over Europe. Here are a few questions for you now. Who played in the famous Star Club in Hamburg, Germany and came back and told the Beatles they must go over to play? Who went to Paris and also modeled for Yves Saint Laurent? Who was the Godfather? You'll find out in the next part of our trip down memory lane. Who played in the famous Star Club in Hamburg, Germany and came back and told the Beatles they must go over to play? It was Derry Wilkie, the first black Liverpudlian to perform in the famous Star Club in Germany. Derry came back and told the Beatles, "Listen, la, you gotta go over there and play, mate." They took his advice. He was also the first Liverpool black artist to have a record in the national pop charts. who went to Paris and also modeled for Yves Saint Laurent. It was Steve Aldo, known as Eddie Bedford in real life. He got his recognition in Paris in 1966, played in Rue de Rennes, and the French called him Le James Brown Anglais, the English James Brown, who was the godfather, the beginner, the one and only, the legendary O.D. Taylor, who taught many of the musicians of that time to play. So, who were the black bands and the solo artists since the 1960s who have come out of Liverpool 8? We do apologize for any bands or individuals that have been left out of this list. Gary Welke and the Pressmen, the Chants, the Shades, the Valentinos, the Harlems, the In Crowd, Vocal Perfection, Sobels, the Earls, Shuffler Sound, the Buzz Brothers, the Contrasts, the Gems, Just Us, Everyday People, The Real Thing, Ofanchi, the Blaze Brothers, Lloyd Massett, the Christians, Distinction, Paradigm Express, the L8 Connection, Willie Osu, Tommy Brown, Colin Ariti, Bernie Wenton, Tommy Ogunbora, Dave Clay, Ronnie Haynes, Ebony, and Woodbine. Finally tonight, we have some special guests which we would like to acknowledge. Let's give it up for Steve Aldo, Eddie Williams, Bernie Wenton, Joey Ankra, Distinction, Leslie Ankra Ofrenchi, Sugar Dean, The Real Thing. This is a part of our musical heritage. And now we move on to the future.